The Brexiteers who have led the UK down its current path are being taught a long, hard lesson. This week, Brexit talks appeared ready, at last, to get the green light to move into their crucial second phase, discussion of a future trading relationship. Diaries were cleared, a common statement from the Prime Minister was in the offing, only for agreement to crumble at the last minute over the issue of the Irish border. Frantic efforts have been underway this week to salvage a deal on Ireland, EU citizens' rights and the divorce bill. Now, a face-saving compromise has, we are led to believe, been signed off on the Irish border. This has come about thanks to one thing, capitulation of the UK side on all the main issues in the face of steely unity from the remaining 27 EU countries. Repeatedly, there has been a gulf between what voters were told was likely to happen and what has actually transpired. Red lines are turning pink throughout Brexit. Supporting ministers and MPs have insisted that the UK would ultimately be able to divide and rule the EU when it came to the key matters to be agreed. It has not proven so, and there must now be serious doubt about whether anything like the UK's stated aims on trade can be achieved either. The question is whether lessons can be learned and a new, more pragmatic approach adopted when trade talks do finally get underway. Some of the UK's red lines are already looking pinkish. Some will have to be ditched altogether if a trade deal is to be secured. It is barely a few months since Boris Johnson was insisting in the House of Commons that the EU could whistle for the money it wanted. Now, the UK has been forced to offer around £45 billion in budget contributions, just what the EU always said was due. Ministers also insisted repeatedly that there would be no need for any transitional arrangements to smooth the path to exit, and that a trade deal would be done in time for exit day in March 2019. Taking back control now, though the UK insists on calling what it has accepted an implementation period, all the signs are that not much will change for at least 2 years beyond Brexit. On immigration, ministers have repeatedly suggested that free movement of people would come to an end the moment we left. But since then, they have had to promise businesses that there will be no cliff edge when it comes to employing foreign workers. Furthermore, several countries with which the UK aims to strike free trade deals when it leaves the EU, such as India, have indicated that they will expect looser visa arrangements in return. It looks some way away from the wholesale, taking back control of immigration that Leave voters were led to expect. Britain decided unilaterally to leave the EU. Now it is up to us to decide what agreement we are prepared to make with a third country. A German official is for the issue of EU citizens' rights. Indications are that the UK has had to agree that the 3.2 meters who are already here will not have to pay to acquire so-called settled status, and the process will made as easy as renewing a driving license. It also appears that the European Court of Justice will continue to have some role in settling disputes over citizens' rights for years to come. The red line on the European Court was struck by Theresa May early on in the negotiations, and Eurosceptic ministers have repeatedly pledged to take back control of our laws. Only the British Supreme Court was to have any role after Brexit. Flights could be grounded on Brexit Day. Photo by Leon Neal. Getty Images. This left trade negotiations hamstrung before they began, since the European Court oversees all the rules of trading in the single market. One practical example is the European Aviation Safety Agency EASA, which runs safety checks and sets standards for flights across the EU. For months, authorities in other countries have been warning the UK that unless it sets up an alternative legal structure for oversight for aviation, and strikes new deals on flights with dozens of countries at the same time, then planes will be grounded on Brexit Day. On immigration, ministers have repeatedly suggested that free movement of people would come to an end the moment we left. Now it seems the UK is ready to compromise here too. The Department for Transport has apparently been assuring the aviation industry that we will offer to stay in EASA as an associate member. All this demonstrates how the UK side has been taken aback at the EU's refusal to budge on positions it has stated emphatically throughout. The easiest deal in human history. When talks progress on to trade, expect the 27 EU countries to do the same. Over their most emphatic statement of all that in no way will the UK be seen to have its cake and eat it. UK ministers have declared that a trade deal with the EU should be the easiest in human history. But as a German official puts it, Britain decided unilaterally to leave the EU. Now it is up to us to decide what agreement we are prepared to make with a third country. At some point we are going to have to start getting the message. More hard lessons are to come. James Chapman is former Director of Communications at Treasury and Chief of Staff at the Department for Exiting the EU at James Chappers.